So you just got Dnf Duel, or you're going to be getting it very, very soon, and you need to know how to hit the ground running. I got you. First things first, we go to the settings. If you're on PC like me, you need to make sure your graphic settings are in order. The netcode is too good. You don't need to be ruining your experience or anyone else's by not having the game in 60 FPS. Make sure you take care of that. Once you take care of that, though, you're going to head to button settings, and usually the defaults are fine, but there's something here I want you guys to pay attention to: the guard button. If you're coming from Street Fighter, you're coming from Guilty Gear, you're coming from Dragon Ball, you're going to be like, I don't need this, hold back to block. And yes, it is a hold back to block game, but the guard button is more useful than you think. Let me just show you what I mean. So the reason why the block button is so important, alongside all the other nonsense that is in the game, giant buttons, all that good stuff, is because you're typically going to run into some left-right mix as well. Sometimes you're going to be not able to contest very well, kind of like here, and you're just going to lose all your health. You don't know what the fuck's going on. It's very hard to see your character. Inquisitor here is a perfect example. The block button's going to help with a lot of the left-right mix. You can't actually be opened up as long as you're holding the block button in the left-right sense. You still will have to guard high or low, which is a lot easier to do. You can just kind of focus on the altitude of the character and you should be fine, right? That was so much easier with the block button. So definitely have it somewhere accessible. It's going to be a great investment for the future, and that's why it's our first tip. So as most of us already know, these characters are loaded with strong options, all at the press of a button. If you've taken a look at anyone's command list, you will see these manual inputs to the side of the simple inputs, or the inputs you probably have been using, where you just press a direction alongside a button. So why do these things exist? So the reason why is you actually recover mana a little bit faster. So I'm going to do shoulder tackle here, and then I'm going to do shoulder tackle with the manual input. And now we're going to get a side-by-side comparison. And so it may not seem like much, but remember, as you lose health, your mana pool is going to increase. So if it's recovering faster, the tempo and the rhythm you're able to play at is just going to get faster, faster, and faster, right? And of course, if you're recovering more mana, you're going to be able to do more, more combos, more damage on your combos on average. Your block streams are going to be even nuttier, and that's also going to open up some neutral tools for you as well. So I know some of you may not be used to the DP motion, but you should definitely be doing the quarter circles as soon as you can. Work those into your game plan day one, week one, and then as you get more familiar with those, try to work in the DP motions as well. Trust me, it is going to matter in the long run. So now let's talk conversion, the lifeblood of this game. So at the expense of your gray health, any amount of gray health, by the way, you can convert. And this is going to allow you to reset anything you were doing and continue acting. A lot of people in the beta were using this to kind of reset their turn, kind of in the offensive sense, but I would implore you guys to kind of use it in the neutral sense as well. So let's take this very ignorant move from my boy Ranger. It's pretty good, right? Sends out the projectile, big AoE blast. It's fantastic. But the issue is, Ranger has to spend a lot of time traveling across the screen. What if he didn't, right? Convert. I'm quite literally skipping neutral. It's insane. And that's just one application, right? This mechanic is pretty cool. Now, you do have to lose health for it, unless you're Berserker. Our boy Berserker here can just press the mana skill button, and he can kind of force himself to lose health, and it gets pretty nutty. He has access to it. I think Troubleshooter can just get access to it as well. Everyone else, though, they have to just block to get access to it, right? So let's get some chip damage on this guy. Boom, right? So that's the crazy thing about this game. Even if you're eating chip damage from specials, it's a-okay, because they just gave you access to one of the strongest mechanics in the game. Okay, so this opens up a whole new way to play neutral. Your objective in neutral, especially if they have something annoying that you're having issues getting around, you can almost beat it just like, yo, I'm gonna take the hit here, right? I can either choose to recover that health or use conversion to approach in neutral. This is very, very strong, and I'm sure the meta is going to revolve around this, because as you guys have, like we already discussed, you can get pretty ignorant in this game. So if you haven't used a conversion, definitely use it to reset your turn offensively, but definitely consider some neutral applications as well. I'm sure it's going to help you win a lot of different matchups you definitely didn't think you could win before. So as if these characters were not nutty enough, at 30% they awaken, and of course they get their nice ultimate ability, but more importantly they get access to their passive. So I got my boy Berserker here, and his passive is life steal. If you guys come from League, you know what I mean. Basically that means each hit I get, look at my health, it's going back up. And here's the thing, even though I passed that 30% threshold, I'm not, the awakening is still there. So Couple that with the fact that I can purposely force myself to lose health to get access to conversion. Now I'm just conversion god, and I'm not even being penalized for it. As you can see, I get access to conversion and heal that health up at no detriment to myself. So Berserker's passive is insane, and some characters don't have passive that are like immediately like, ooh, that's good on paper, but trust me, I think they're all pretty solid. You want to go to the tutorial section, it'll show everyone's and kind of explains what the intent is behind them, but I'm sure you can flex them for whatever purposes you may need. My point is, the passives for the Awakening is almost as big a deal as the abilities themselves, and you definitely need to go read up on those. Now remember, when you do your Awakening of skill though, whether you whiff it or you actually land it, it will go away. So be very, very careful. You do not get that kind of stuff back. I'd even recommend just, if you're passive strong enough, like my boy Berserker here, you may want to keep it up at all times. Point is though, definitely go check it out in the tutorial section. All of them are pretty good and kind of tell you what you need to be doing in the later phases of the game when you have less health and this giant mana pool at your disposal. So it's become quite clear for the early stages of this game, ignorance is going to be at an all-time high. Characters going to be throwing out buttons like this, and you may not be playing Vanguard. You may not be playing Hitman. You may not be able to throw out stuff. Maybe you're playing Striker. What do? You actually have, everyone has 3 universal ways to kind of deal with some of the nonsense, either in neutral, while they're being pressured, and on wake up. So let's discuss it. The first one is going to be the roll. Remember that guard button we talked about earlier? I told you that come back up again. So the way you roll is you press forward, plus the block button, and then you roll. And the roll is pretty good because you get a number of iframes to kind of go through stuff. You can still be hitting the early parts of the roll and the later parts of the roll, like so. Well, let me try that one more time. Like that. But hey, it's one option of many. The next option I want you guys to entertain is your down mana skill. Everyone's going to have a different attack, but whatever they do will have a number of iframes. A lot of people are using these to kind of escape pressure on block, and that's totally a great application. On wake up, another great application to get people off of you. But it also has some neutral applications as well. We're going to use Striker Vanguard here. Now, this is a pretty extreme example. Obviously, there are characters with bigger buttons than Striker here. Her DP is not the best, but even she can use her DP in neutral with a little bit of dash momentum, of course, to make it a little bit easier. But even she can use her DP to kind of bypass some buttons in neutral. She doesn't get the greatest reward. I'm sure people will come up with combos off of that, but everyone can do this. So if you're playing against Vanguard here or Ranger and you're like, how the fuck, what do I do against these buttons they're doing? Especially if they're using a weapon, it's probably not disjointed. You can definitely try and use your down special to kind of get around it. Definitely experiment. Definitely keep that on the table alongside your roll. And the final defensive option I want you guys to be using is the guard cancel attack. So we have our girl Inquisitor here for an example. All we have to do is press forward plus B plus the skill button, and we can just get out of any pressure. The attack that you do actually goes pretty far. It's pretty generous, but it can be baited. And the opponent can create ways to kind of miss it. So let me show you. So I'm going to go for the guard cancel, but then she crossed me. So you have to be careful with it. All these defensive options do have a bit of counterplay to them, but as long as you're rotating them all, you should be fine. If you guys even master one of these tips that I've mentioned so far, I'm sure you'll hit the ground running on day one. If you feel like this video helped you, please leave a like, and if there's any topics you guys want me to cover, leave them all in the comment section. And side note here, this is like the best game to get people into fighting games. It's so accessible. You feel so powerful all the time. If you guys know friends or family who have not played fighting games yet, or they've been trying to get into fighting games and everything's just been way too difficult for them, this is the one. And be sure to share them this video as well. I'm gonna be pushing some grappler propaganda down on my channel, so if you're into that, just catch a stream and be sure to sub, because I'm gonna have a lot of grappler nonsense coming out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you later, hopefully in a stream or in a video.